Three. Hey everybody, how you doing? This is TruePowerIsMine and this is Tpim SR Live. I'm back at it again, folks, and I got Judge Joe Brown on the line. We're going to talk about the destruction and the propagandization of the family, of the nation, American family. Judge, you recently did an interview on the Valerie Jones show, I believe, with Malik Yoba, I forget the guy's first name, the trans loving.
Actually, it's the Judge Joe Brown show, hosted by Valerie Denise.
Oh, right on. Correct me if I'm wrong.
She also has one she does separately on Tuesdays, I believe.
Oh, okay. Now this is the one I saw on YouTube, so I don't know if there's any.
That's the one that's the Judge Joe Brown show, hosted by Valerie Denise.
Valerie Denise. That's it. That's all. Yeah.
Valerie, yeah.
Now, on that show, correct me if I'm wrong, the actor, that recently tweeted up, his trans love. I almost fell out my chair laughing when you was going through like a breakdown of all the things he said, and you were like, that activity with trannies is homosexual, and that guy tried to play it off like it wasn't, and then the phone call drops, right?
Well, let me tell you about that. When I first got my show 20 years ago, and 21 years ago, actually, it's been a long time, they gave us instructions on public relations and stuff like that. They said, if somebody asks a difficult question, just hang up and you can always play it off like your phone went dead.
Yes.
But I never did that because nobody's going to back me down. However, he did it, and then the show went on for another hour and a half, and he could have called back in, and in fact, he called in to begin with, so he had ample opportunity to do what he wanted to do.
Wow. So
what happens is you do this thing, see, in the context, and we don't understand the context, a lot of us, that is. And the context that I know about is I heard it when it started more than 50 years ago. I was at UCLA then. I was a member of the class of 69, so I was out before the 60s were over.
Berkeley.
And I heard them lay out this plan. They would have many, many speakers who would come to campus, and they'd talk about it over and over and over again. All right?
Right.
So we heard it. They had these big gatherings out on campus, and they'd be on stage, with the sound system set up, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one of the things that the gay bunch, who had not morphed into LGBTQ, et cetera, at that time, were counting on was to deal with trans. And we talked about it. In other words, those who dressed up like girls. And they thought that would blur the line, and blurring the line would lead to what they now call fluid gender. And that would sort of normalize all sexual activity.
Right.
So when I hear this guy talking about, I like trannies, but, they're really girls because they call themselves girls, I said to myself, the first time I started hearing that, I said, here we go again.
Yep.
Got to that point they were talking about 50 years ago. They actually said it was a 50-year to 100-year long plan to normalize things. If you have a penis and you deal with somebody with a penis, that's homosexuality. If you have a penis and you deal with somebody with a penis who likes to dress up like a girl, you just dealt with somebody with a penis who has a fetish.
Yes.
He likes dressing up like a girl. So if you deal with somebody and you've got a penis and that person has a penis and they've got a fetish, it still doesn't change it from being homosexual, even if they have titty implants.
Exactly.
So he's trying to say, I'm not a homosexual because it's a she. No, it's not a she. It can still biologically reproduce by inseminating a woman.
Yes.
And we don't even get to somebody like this sickness, Bruce Jenner, who, by the way, is talking about switching back from being Caitlyn to Bruce. And they've got somebody, Lynette Nussbaum, that they put on the Smithsonian Channel, the American History Channel, and the Military Channel. And you see him often as a curly-haired boy from England. And then you see him as a very ugly-looking girl, or older girl who's now gotten quite plush. So it comes, and he's got an irritating voice, and I just have to turn the channel when he comes on, all right? Go to the last one I had. Then when I figure he's gone, come back. Not because I'm afraid of it, not because it's anything he doesn't have a right to do. It's just that it's irritating, and it's like vertigo. Have you ever had motion sickness?
Yes.
All right. That's because your eyes are telling you one thing and the inner ear is telling you another. Well, if you are a product of Mother Nature who took a whole lot of time to deal with sexual reproduction and males attracting females and females attracting males and vice versa, and birds dressing up in a certain type of male plumage and the girl birds having certain types of girl bird plumage. Well, you've got men's clothes and women's clothes and all that other kind of thing. And it's a carryover from Mother Nature having with primates, higher order primates like chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, and humans, sexual dimorphism, where the males are a lot more robust than the females. Well, you walk down the street and you've got all of this built-in genetic program, and you see something switching from side to side like females are supposed to do, females of the species, and that genetic programming kicks in and your automatic tracking system goes into its thing, and you look, and then what you're seeing doesn't match what you are also seeing, so it's like vertigo. You get motion sickness, so to speak, because here's somebody acting like a girl and it's not a girl.
Right. It's
so
deceit.
That's their business, but we don't have to say, okay, you do this. It's an abnormality. It's always been an abnormality.
So they're not born that way?
However, they have jumped into the fray and gotten all of that taken out of some of the popular text on it, not the definitive text. And they want to say it's a girl because it declares to be a girl. It's a failed boy who can't make the varsity team, but he can compete as a girl and win the events. Because he says he's a girl and changes his hair slightly. You know, that's just not what it's supposed to be. He can wrestle with the girls, and there used to be a thing, boys don't hit girls because they are stronger, but here you have full contact sports, and they get to hit the girls because they say I'm a girl, because they're acting like one maybe, but they're not. So these girls suffer broken ribs, fractured skulls and jaws, and broken arms and legs. And one of them is going to get killed. Right. They won't let these high school teams say, no, we're not going to have our girls compete against these guys, because there are a lot of girls who have other events where there's no guy in there who's got a fetish and they don't want to be knocked out. And one of them is going to get killed because the team doesn't want to forfeit. So the girls are compelled to compete against guys, and then boys are not supposed to hit girls because they're stronger.
Right.
And it's just a travesty. So this guy comes on and he's spouting this nonsense. It's his business. We let him talk uninterrupted for 15 minutes. Valerie Denise asked him a few questions, and I had said, you know, do you really want to put him on? She said, yes. And see, she's a great fan of his acting. So he conned her, and she went off on him. You know, later on, it's like some people said maybe you shouldn't have done it because nobody would have known, but people listened.
Yes.
And she was right. He conned her. I said, you know, he's just trying to advertise this transit craze he wants to put on.
Exactly.
You hear how dangerous he was? He's talking about all of these things he does with children. It's like, wait a minute.
Grooming.
They kicked Brown off the team because this trainer said over a year and a half period of time when they're going to see him twice a week, he raped her 3 times. Like, what kind of fool are you? His answer, and it becomes a question of how big a fool can a fool be. You mean somebody raped you and you kept going back for several months twice a week, he raped you again, you say, and then you kept going back several times a week for several more months, and then it happened. What is wrong with you?
The money.
You expect us to believe it, but they cut him loose. But yet, there's no police report, no complaint as to criminal violations.
Wow.
But look at milk yogurt. That's what I call it. Yogurt. So he's already had a complaint turned in against him by a 17-year-old tranny boy who says that when he was 13, he dealt with yogurt on a regular basis. And then sort of it dropped off. And again, at 15, he dealt with it, but he wasn't the only one because they got some other Hollywood folk that are there taping that that TV show that apparently come out and deal with him, if I got that part right. And they haven't done a damn thing to him because it's part of their program.
Man, I
see. I remember these people that used to be over on what we called at UCLA the artsy craftsy side. And they'd have people that were going into television and wanted to learn how to do it. I had a friend that was. He's great. He's still doing it. He used to be one of the executives on my show. But they have these guys over there, and they're talking about they're trying to control your sexuality. You can do what you want to do, you know, male or female. It's all about eroticism. Oh, man, it's about being gay. So, queer, we called it then. Yes. And they even have that in there. That's what the Q stands for. If you see the LGBTQ, et cetera, site, the Q stands for questioning and queer. So they like to call us the N-word all the time. They can do it with impunity, other than they might get busted in the mouth. But if you call them that,
you go
like in a place in California, that's a hate crime, and you wind up with a 30-day suspended sentence and 250 hours of community service and a big fine and about a year's worth of probation.
Wow. See how they take that so serious.
So I wanted to talk with them about these things, and I asked him a simple question about some say this has an impact on the family, the black family in particular, because et cetera, and he didn't even try to answer the question. He went somewhere else, and I said, well, that doesn't deal with what I asked you. However, and then he started, and then this blip, you know, like the phone went dead.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Do you expect anybody to believe that? Especially since I had the same kind of public relations
training
instruction, which I didn't need 21 years before you got yours. 20 years, 18, 15 years before you got yours.
You called him out in the beginning. You said he was a propagandist. Basically sending out propaganda for his agenda.
Yeah.
You know, if I can say I'm a chick, then how come I can't say I'm a 5-year-old kid? Yeah, I identify as a 5-year-old boy, so I should date this little 4-year-old girl. You know,
We've
it gets
already
crazy.
been there. Somebody beat you to it.
Who's that?
If you did that, you know who it is?
Who?
Michael, a.k.a. Michelle Jackson. And you know why they pushed him so tough?
Why?
Because he had set up that androgynous fluid gender hate yourself thing. He hated that he was black and did everything he could possibly do to look like he was white, and he wound up killing himself.
Lots of nose.
See, that conditioned the public. So now when you walk in someplace, you hear on the elevator or in the upscale restaurants, you hear Michael Jackson doing something or Michelle, and you get the visual image, and it's okay to have no bass in your voice at all.
Right.
And to prance around looking like a girl and to be a zombie when the makeup comes off because they had to amputate your nose when they went necrotic from all those operations and multiple operations on your chin and on your jawbones, and they've got him looking like a Pokemon cartoon character.
Zombie Char.
So, and you can see it on those last few videos when he did live entertainment. When he got to sweating, you could see the tape that they were holding that nose, fake nose on his face with would start standing out, and you could see the little lines starting to gap open.
That's horrible. And this comes...
I mean, it is horrible. But see, that's the other thing about what I wanted to get into him on. This whole gay thing, tranny particularly, is about self-hate. I remember in the 50s and 60s when the black people, really, we hated ourselves because all we saw was white on TV and we felt inferior, or some of us did, all right?
All right.
And this has nothing to do with James Brown either, but the solution was, I'm black and I'm brown. James Brown didn't invent that. He just co-opted it for a musical number.
Right.
And we became black and proud, though that's been diffused over the years since the media has glorified dysfunction. So we identify with things that pride would dictate that you neglect and put in your past.
Right.
But that's another story. But they have co-opted that whole pride thing with gay pride. But when you look at what they do in one of those things, it is not pride, it is hate. They make caricatures of themselves. And you've got a bunch of people that hate what they are and hate what they want to be. They hate that they're boys, and they try to act like girls, but they hate girls. So what the devil is that? So if they didn't hate girls, they wouldn't dishonor them like that.
Right.
But anyway, these trannies, transvestites, transsexuals, whatever the devil you want to call them, they are deep into self-hate. They want to be something so badly other than what they are, and they have no pride in what they are. They try to take pride in what they want to be. That's Michael Jackson trying to be white.
Wow.
Instead of black. Having his hair removed from his scalp and from the inside out, having long Polynesian hair implanted. And then having to get his scalp opened up every few months or a year or so they could refresh all that. He was a freak.
Big time.
But you can't tell that to these people, all these mothers, every time they have a redo of the last Jackson concert tour, they bring all of their sons dressed up like Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson would have loved for them to have dropped the boys off so he could bugger them, sodomize them, or play. Well, he couldn't get it up, they say, so because he cut his own balls off before he got puberty. That's what seemed to be the case. Have you ever heard of Castrati songs? Beethoven, Bach, Mendelssohn, all of them, they came up with these songs that only those who had been castrated before puberty could sing. Well, okay, the last known Castrati died, I think, about 1952, and some monks had castrated him someplace in Italy. But Michael Jackson sang almost a 3-hour concert for one of the popes singing nothing but the Castrati songs. So, qualification, balls off before puberty to sing them. And Michael Jackson sings 3 hours worth for the Pope in that high voice he had. So, you know, it's a thing where you break into what's going on. You take advantage of stuff in the past and you say, I will have personal advantage if I go along with this. You know, a slave could always be treated better if he turned in his fellow slaves.
Ain't that the truth?
And that's what we have with Malik Yoba, aka Malik
Yes.
Yoba.
No. Well, the guy's a homosexual. Let's just get that out there right now.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
And most of them are.
yes, and
The
that's
LGBT site brags that approximately 9 out of every 10 folk in Hollywood are 18, 17 to 18 out of every 20, whether it's executive, producer, director, writer, actor, whatever it may be, they're into that.
wow.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, all 9 of these, you certainly aren't the one exception.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, you over there, and okay, you're the exception, but you aren't that exception either.
This is what we're up against.
Did you notice on the Breakfast Club when he lapsed into that list?
No, I didn't see.
I can't even say that right. Yeah, he had that list.
Oh my.
And a friend of mine who was a linguist out at UCLA said, you know, that's all fake. If you take somebody who is Chinese, you take somebody who is English, you take somebody who is African, and you raise them from birth in Alabama, and they talk like they's from Alabama.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm from Alabama, man. Or the southern version or the black version of it. But gays all over the world sound alike. That means it's an affectation and it's not natural.
Wow.
In other words, I say, fella, you know, it's simply as crickets, you know?
Yeah, cheerio, governor.
Yeah, man, we got to go down everything be all right, man. I man. Come on, you be good now.
Ah.
Yeah, Bato, man, you got to deal with it. You know, you can go, hey, Louis, get coming. I want to meet somebody. You know, you can do that whole thing, but you just like you can imitate it. They have an affectation they do. It's a whole culture.
Wow. And it's global.
And they're recruiting in these schools. Everywhere in America that they do have sex education in schools, the parents can opt them out. But they can't opt them out of this because they say it's not sex education. The hell it's not. You're trying to teach third-grade kids. Listen, class, today we're going to look into gay contributions to American history. That's like to me saying, class, today we're going to deal with the contributions to American history by those who like to do it doggy style. Well, you know, it gets into what's gay, teacher? That's homosexual, student. Well, teacher, what's homosexual? Well, that's when two people of the same sex have sex together.
Wow.
Teacher, I thought sex meant you were a boy or a girl. Well, they do some other things when they talk about another meaning for sex. And they have people of the same sex do sexual things to each other. Teacher, one more time, what's sex? They don't even know. But you're teaching them about this.
Yes,
what they do to inure them to this thing is they say it's like best friends forever. That's part of this instruction thing. It's BFF. Oh, they understand it. It's all right to hug your BFF. It's all right to hold your BFF's hand. It's all right to kiss your BFF in the mouth. It is? Oh, yeah. So you see little 9, 10-year-old boys where they've gone to school and had this instruction. You'll see them walking around holding his hand. Why are you holding his hand? Well, he's my BFF.
Oh.
Well, why are you holding his hand? He's a boy like you.
Yeah.
They said it was all right in school. Well, what? Or you see them kissing. Why are you doing that? Do you know what a kiss is? Well, they said it's all right to kiss your BFF. They haven't even learned how to kiss a girl. They haven't had that experience, but here they are kissing a boy in the classroom.
And that's what
at 9 and 10 years old.
And
then
that's grooming.
You see, there's another scary thing about it. They're pushing pedophilia.
Yes.
And you see, the storyline is that the kids can make their selections as to what they want to be.
Really?
As early as they want to. So you have this farce where parents are dressing up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds in dresses and skirts and stuff because they wanted to dress like that. Well, you don't let them. You have to acculturate them.
Right.
they don't do it because they made their choices. Well, you see, it's a small step from that to he wants to try sex. And see, since it's not reproductive sex, it's just love between two people. You remember Michael Jackson said under that black umbrella in the rain, there's nothing wrong with a grown man being naked in the bed with a 10-year-old boy if it's showing love. See, he said that, and they played that video clip over and over and over when it was contemporaneous with the event. And that first trial was going on.
Right.
They couldn't prove it, but you know, that's like they never could prove Al Capone murdered anybody or had somebody murdered, but he was the godfather. He's all enough had a lot of folk wasted. So it is what it is. Criminal law is not the same as reality of circumstance. Criminal law is dictated because it's about keeping governments under tight control so they don't get too powerful and use what are taken as criminal sanctions and you use them for political or sociological purposes.
That's what they're doing now.
But you see, back to this whole thing, I'm sitting in a restaurant some weeks ago, and it's in a part of this town where the alphabet, I call them rainbow folk, like to congregate. Sometimes they'll come in. And I was there with some woman I knew. And we were listening and eavesdropping on a conversation where these three gay boys were sitting in a booth and they were reminiscing on when they used to go cruising at 12, 13 years old, trying to get picked up.
I thought that was illegal.
And I know it's illegal, but they liked it, and they were sitting there giggling about it, and they were also saying it's a damn shame that these Neanderthals are trying to keep boys from having the fun times we had.
Wow. Neanderthals, huh? Just to be
right.
So
my friend said, do you hear that? I said, I don't really have any appetite for my lunch after hearing that. They're sitting there talking about the wonders of having been victimized by a pedophile, right. And they say they enjoyed it.
Oh my God!
Of course, well, but you don't let children who can't even sign a contract legally, who have no perspective on what the mature world is all about, get seduced into that kind of thing.
Right.
And right now, see that thing that Juicy Jesse, his name is Justin Smollett, and he picked a stage name where Jesse becomes a stage name, but it's spelled Jussie, which in French is Youssef, or Youssef. So he picks Juicy, basically, the way Juicy, which was how it'd be pronounced in French, and now he's even gone from Smollett to Smollett, so Juicy Jesse, so to speak, did that fake thing not to get a better part or more money or not get written out of that poisonous empire thing, but he was trying to be an LGBTQ hero because the fake negress, Kamala Harris, who was really a Hindu Brahmin,
right,
and the house Negro, Cory Booker, they jumped on that and they put it in as the anti-lynch bill. And I guess that was supposed to be a stretch from the fact that Juicy has a noose around his neck when the police show up. Now, interestingly, on that noose, the Chicago police have him on a video security camera in a Halloween costume shop the week of Halloween, buying that very same noose 2 or 3 days before Halloween that comes up much later when it's around his neck to set the stage for what becomes the anti-lynch act. And you see, the anti-lynch bill is unnecessary because it doesn't even deal with black folk. And we've had anti-lynching statutes on the federal books for 145 years.
Right.
150 years. This is nothing new. We didn't need one. But they put this language in it for the first time that favors the rainbow crowd. And in a specific sense, the language is part of the language that when I had a child molester evaluated and he came back as a pedophile, that language in part would be in, well, more of the language that's now inserted in the federal statutes would be in the psychiatric report that I get back. See, it's insidious. They're doing it a little bit at the time.
Yep.
And if you look at the politics, you see the Democrats trying to get us to support them, but they haven't given us anything as black folk in a long time. Trump's done much better, actually, we like him or not.
Then they have.
And they want us to vote them in so they can help out the rainbow bunch that wants you to eat Skittles, be Skittles, so you can taste the rainbow.
Or at least your children. They want our kids. They want the children.
Yeah, that's true. And see, the Republican Party is quiet, but I suspect they're more practiced and engaged in the Republican Party than in the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party, local, state, and national, has been captured by that gay crowd.
Right.
Skittles crowd.
The Skittles.
And I found something interesting. Check this out. Remember when the government supposedly shut down for that time last year?
Right.
Well, those little guys on the Skittles crowd were trying to come up with a whole lot of rainbow action in committee. They had committee meeting after committee meeting, and while everybody's paying attention to the government shutdown, they're churning out all of that Skittles taste the rainbow stuff. And nobody paid attention. And the media wasn't going to call anybody's attention to it, at least not the mainstream media. But it was there. Wait a minute, I thought everything was shut down and these folk are having heavy committee meetings and they're turning out stuff out of committee to go in front of the full house for support, and they're sticking it in bills, so it's a little teeny part of a bigger bill that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
So they were sneaking.
Slick.
See, it's stuff like that that earns the distrust of the public.
Right. Well, how come
But you see Jesse and here Milk Yogurt are up there trying to push this.
And they are. Look at their little Instagram numbers. Look at all the young people they're reaching. I mean, they're really literally teaching young boys to put on a dress to make it. To do some shady stuff in the corner to make it. And that's sick. It's deceitful and it's destructive.
Yep, and see, they're being given a voice.
Yes.
I'll tell you how bad it is become for black people in America. Up until 1970, I'll put that as the cutoff. You had story after story after story of black people being murdered, lynched, kidnapped, beaten, shot, wounded, mutilated, blown up, everything about getting their rights.
Right.
Or they stepped out of line. Since Fred Hampton of the Panthers got killed in Chicago, when's the last time anybody black who's politically active has been done in?
I mean, I guess the latest one would be Nipsey Hussle. If
that doesn't count. He doesn't count that way. That's gang stuff.
Okay, you're talking about like a king? No, there hasn't been one.
No, where the system goes after, because there haven't been any black leaders. The black leaders are all co-opted. You've got all these black folk in the House of Representatives who are in the Black Caucus, whom I call the House Negroes, except one who always go for the rainbow action so everybody can taste. Well, they go for the Skittles action so everybody can taste the rainbow. See, they want you to taste it to put your mouth on it. Wow. And the pun is intended on that, too.
Those 53 black folks you're talking about, the Black Caucus, how come they can't organize like the homosexual crowd and get stuff pushed through committees?
They already have.
Mm.
You said, why can't they organize like the homosexual crowd? It's because they're part of the homosexual crowd.
Oh, man. Mm.
So they already organized. It's just because they look like us, they bamboozle us into supporting them so they can get stuff passed on behalf of that crowd they voluntarily joined. See, you're born black, but they joined the Skittles.
Right.
So they can taste the rainbow.
the thing about it.
And you see what they have on the latest Skittles commercial. They've got this person with dreads in his hair, all clown out, milking a giraffe with Skittles going into the bucket. And he starts cramming handfuls into his mouth, talking about taste the rainbow. That is so suggestive.
Bestiality.
He's reaching down and he's squeezing up and down on something. And, you know, that action, they like to reach down and squeeze, and then they like to put it in their mouth when they get it.
Isn't it the same thing that they did with the Star Wars, where they took Luke Skywalker's character and bastardized it by making him like squirt some juice into the jug and drank it there by the sea? You know, it was very suggestive.
Yeah, and then you see what they've done with that. This is Master Jedi who could restore balance to the Force. And they got some unknown little babe that's going around collecting trash. You know, and they got her beating Grandmaster Jedi, and she never had any training.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, you see what they did? And then they had that brother in there that's got some kind of relationship with her. He's supposed to be a defected stormtrooper,
Exactly.
A badass, but they've got him screaming like a little bitch, you know, holding on to this Asian babe as they get away on some alien horse thing, escape.
See how everything is all twisted? The traditional roles that you expect people to assume, it's like, oh, no, it's not that way. And they're trying to reinforce that as if in reality, you shouldn't be a strong man willing to die for your family. You shouldn't be a strong man willing to.
And see, that's the context that I was going after Malik Yoba about, or I wanted to ask him. But see, okay, you've got Captain Marvel, who for 60-some years was a man,
right?
Who's a woman. You've got Wonder Woman in charge of the Justice League, which includes Batman, Superman, Cyborg, Aquaman, Flash, etc., etc., etc. Okay? You've got the newest thing. They are re-releasing that thing from the late 80s about Xena Warrior Princess, and she had a homegirl with her back in the 80s, but now they let you see the deleted scenes where they're all hugged up naked and under some covers and kissing each other on the mouth and holding hands and stuff. All right? You started off with Empire, and then Empire, you know, it's bad enough when it glorifies criminality.
Right.
However, it switches over into a Skittles parade after about the fourth or fifth episode. And then you've got Pose now, which is absolutely ridiculous. You've got that thing for Nubia on where they've got a gay boy with what looks to be some kind of alien antenna on top of his head. They've got another one, the one with the blonde hair that's a tranny, holding hands with his white gay boyfriend, girlfriend. And then you got some poor sister who's the only normal one up in there other than the doctor as they portray them. And she's worried about her potentially down low dates or boyfriend giving her HIV.
There it is.
And then what makes it bad, a friend of mine who is a director with CDC tells me they've been giving the media press releases that they won't run about HIV is ramping back up to epidemic status. And that's been over the last 2 years. Why? Because you've been pushing it, damn it. Yes. And all of these people on the fence are trying it. They don't know what they're doing, and they get infected, and they're down low, and they're bringing it back and getting it to the women.
Yes.
And
yes.
My motto has always been protecting womanhood and promoting manhood. So I'm promoting real men to help protect the women, and these women don't need to be jacked up and infected by these down low fools who won't come out the closet.
Exactly.
And by the way, if you want a good compendium of who's in it, you ought to watch South Park, the cartoon sometimes. They'll get off some people.
I haven't seen
like
that
the
show
one where they had John Travolta and Tom Cruise and R. Kelly. Come on out the closet, guys. It's, you know, nobody will hold it against you. You come out the closet now.
He was a fish. You know.
Oh, well, that was another one. They had him up in there trying to jack around with that fish toward the end. That wasn't anything but gay fish.
Oh.
And they had him, he was fighting it, you know, all through there. Why they call me a gay fish? And, you know, and then he embraced it. See, don't deny. You can be fine.
Oh, and that's another thing. This whole notion of the bisexual, you know, there's only two sexuals. There's either you're straight or you're gay. There's really no in between. Now you can try to lie to yourself and claim there's some sort of middle ground, but either you're rolling on team, I'm going to make a baby, or else you're rolling on team, I'm just going to do this for pleasure and not try to reproduce it and none of that. That's
well, yeah.
The danger.
See, here's the other thing. That's the killer. On South Park again, they'll have somebody dealing with Mr. Garrison, that gay teacher, all right, who gets transformed and then gets transformed back. Well, they will be having sex with him, doing it from the rear, and then they find out he is a guy, and they vomit. All right?
Right.
Now, they didn't know, which is this thing about the tranny bit is so insidious. But to have sex with somebody gay, you got to have a hard on. And you got to be eroticized or you got to be stimulated or turned on to get the hard on. Because if you are not into that, you're so turned off, it's going to do anything but get hard.
Exactly.
So all these guys that are doing it, they are receptive to it. So there's something about them. They ain't being straight. They're gay because they got off.
There it is. I mean, there it is. You can't rape or any of that. Oh, no, this is what I was about ready to say. You know how some people, especially with this being able to choose your sexual whatever, what if a rapist claimed that they were born to rape? You know, so therefore, when they went out and actually raped people, because raping is a behavior, it's a sexual behavior, just as straight sex is or gay sex is. Will we still show a rapist the same consideration? Oh, Judge, he was born that way?
Well, see, here's the thing. No, you don't. Somebody's got a highly contagious disease. What do you do with them? Quarantine them.
Yes.
For the protection of the public. Pedophiles probably have the strongest compulsion out there. But you can't let them run around loose. But you see, they're trying to normalize pedophilia because it is like what they did with black folk in the NAACP. There were two Jews, one white male, one white female, and one black man, W.B. Du Bois, who founded the NAACP. The reason the Jews were behind the NAACP list, they were getting some discrimination and negative feedback and pressure at the turn of the 19th, 20th century. But the theory was that if you couldn't do it to a Negro, you couldn't do it to a Jew.
Wow.
Now, to take that on the way out, for the first 50 years of the 20th century, most of the civil rights stuff that was advanced were done following an idea that Thurgood Marshall had. There were no civil rights laws, but they had SPCA laws, Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. So he came up with this thing that worked sometimes, and it was if you couldn't do it to a dog, you couldn't do it to a Negro, and the Jews financed it because if you couldn't do it to a dog, you couldn't do it to a Negro, couldn't do it to a Negro, you couldn't do it to a Jew.
Wow.
So we get used for all kinds of things. So the Skittles crowd is trying to use the black thing so it makes it okay for the Skittles thing.
Right. So you can't do it to a dog, you can't do it to a Negro, you can't do it to a Jew, now you can't do it to a Skittle.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
They plotted this out. We're going on la-di-da, just taking anything you see on TV as what you ought to be. I saw it on TV, that's what I want to be.
Right. Television.
See, well, I mean, but it has, see, the Nazis learned that Americans had perfected an instrument that combined entertainment with propaganda. And the American movie industry / Hollywood was the best in the world at it, so the Nazis copied.
Mm-hmm.
They found that for a long time, since before the turn of the 20th century, kids all over the world had been influenced as to what was appropriate by what they saw in the movies.
Wow.
All the way up to the NOM. I had some people I knew in high school volunteered to go over to the NOM and said, man, why'd you do it? Well, man, I don't know. But, brother, I got over there, and I was in this lit trench, man, when all of those RPGs started going off, and I had a thought. I said, what was it? Where the hell is John Wayne? He didn't get his ass in any real trench. He was doing that on a set. And you see, that struck me, and that's been 50 years since I heard that, almost 50 years. And it's true. He's black, wasn't a bad brother, grew up in the hood, but he joined up because he was trying to be like John Wayne, an image of a hero.
Right.
They call John Wayne an American hero, but he never flew a fighter plane. He never charged with the cavalry. He never went across the beach with the Marines, but he played these parts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're doing with the gay thing. They've got these actors who take fiction and make it look real.
Wow.
So they take these people as ideal persons to do their advertising and propaganda. Hell, actors make a lot of side money by doing commercials.
Yep.
I do commercials. Captain Kirk does commercials. Guy that played Captain Kirk, what's his name?
William Shatner. William Shatner.
Shatner. He does commercials. You know, they got what's his name doing commercials for insurance companies. You know, all these people make money on the side doing commercials.
Yep.
So some people, like me, I get him doing not a commercial, but I'm black, I'm proud, and I got to do what I got to do for the people. Because if the people get jacked up, me being part of the people means I get jacked up, and I get this attitude that I'm cop where I want to take somebody's ass out. You know? And I don't like that. I'm too old for that.
You'll end up talking to those people like out here in St. Louis. Commercials that we were seeing you on was Brown and Crouppen. They were an attorney firm out here. I never even really thought about that.
Yeah, well, see, they paid me good money for it. I'm retired, you know, to an extent, or at least partly retired, but I supported them because after that incident, they opened up a pro bono office there. And they do some decent work. So they're giving back. I don't have any problem with doing that. I won't just do commercial for any food. And they're not. They do some decent work and they give back. They do pro bono work.
Yeah, they're a huge firm out here. I even used them way back in the day when I had a little fender bender. But why is it so important for the country to have actors and stuff be propaganda, nizing war and this idea?
It isn't. But you see what they've done with the media? The First Amendment has established a free press. That's a tradition in this country.
Correct.
The free press was supposed to freely express all sides of an issue and throw as much information as they could out there so there would be dialogue amongst the citizens that was encouraged by freedom of speech under the First Amendment. See, freedom of press, freedom of speech. The press would put all sorts of positions out there freely, and the people would freely discuss them so a consensus could be reached. Nowadays, the media is under such tight control of the Skittles group that all you hear is one side of the things, and everything else that doesn't go along with that is suppressed. And then when the citizens want to have free speech like we're doing right now, they try to suppress it.
Exactly. I mean,
Orwell wrote about it. Orwell wrote it. He called it Animal Farm. And he also wrote about it. It's called Big Brother.
Yes, 1984.
So, not Big Brother, but you had Big Brother in one of the things he did, 1984. And Orwell put it right down in Animal Farm, where originally their revolution started out with all animals are equal. And then eventually, when it got co-opted, it became all animals are equal, but pigs are more equal than others.
Right.
And we've got our own version of pigs right now. Now, under the Constitution, it's their absolute right to bust booties, go down on, munch, whatever they want to do in their bedrooms. But when they start coming out and trying to recruit our children, screw up what we can do, what we can say, what we can think, then it becomes a matter of we have rights ourselves, the same ones that they do, to push back. Right. I'm not going to hold it against somebody because he's got some freak tendencies and he gets a rise because he gets turned on by a hairy, something, whatever. But as long as he deals with the combat. But you see, here's the thing. Men have, since time immemorial, organized to individually and collectively protect women and children.
Correct.
Question arises, why should you protect a tranny or a gay who is opted out of the reproductive cycle? I mean, some people can't because of physical problems, but right. At least theoretically, they can fit into it and encourage the reproductive thing. And the human family is the
benefactor,
acculturated embracement of our evolved physiology, where that's how you breed human children and you raise them.
Exactly.
So where do they fit into this? So the question becomes, they rely on our tolerance, on our protection, on our upholding the laws that we have come up with.
Right.
But they don't give any damn thing back.
They don't. I mean, you can argue, the pleasure of the thing, but like you said, in the long haul, that DNA dies with them because they don't pass it on to offsprings. They could stay on in their books and audio tapes and movies, but aside from that media aspect, for all intents and purposes, they no longer exist.
Well, here's the other thing too. Why have gay contribution to American history? Okay, they love Ron Reagan, St. Ron the Reagan, Reagan, but he was gay. He was a Hollywood actor. They have Julius Caesar, and the Romans said Julius would screw anybody's wife and be wife to any man.
Wow.
And then you got Alexander the Great, but do you study them as gay folk or just as folk with some peculiar habits?
Oh, what do they call it? Sexual validity.
Does it make if they contributed to history? But no, we got to say, these folk I guess the new thing, these folk like to do the missionary position, but they contributed to history. These folk like to do it doggy style.
Well, even King James was reported to be homosexual.
Like to do it where woman's on top. So we got this week we're Women on Top week, or women doing doggy style, or women, men who like to, do missionary, whatever. It's getting absurd.
It is. Too many labels. Once again, there's only two choices. At the end of the day, there's just two choices. Either you're going to be straight and normal, or you're going to be gay and twisted. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. We should stop the lies, the self-delusion. Like, no, this is, it's different. Little dude looks like a chick. No, it's still a little dude, and you're a dude. And it's not right because it's not fruitful. We're not going to live forever. We are all finite. Trust me on that, friends. We are all finites. But it's important not just to lay with just anybody for disease purposes and all that nonsense, emotional disease too. But it's important to vet this woman, or if you're a chick, vet that man. And the goal is to have babies that you will raise to be strong men and women, not raise arrested development individuals, but you're raising someone's grandmother, you're raising someone's mother, you're raising someone's father. That's the kicker. I would never just advocate just going out and not actually willing to toe the full line, meaning being there with the family, interacting with the children, actually teaching them and instructing them, not just sitting them up in front of a television, but going out in the woods with you and your children and talking, sharing your life experiences and what you have learned. Hopefully, unless you've been a complete idiot all your life, you should have learned a couple of things. Well, that is a mental imprint of you and your family. That has to be imprinted into that child, or else it's going to be the nanny that does it, or else it's going to be the teacher that does it, or the soccer coach, or some other individual, and you don't know what type of family they're coming from and what they're installing in that child, like a computer update. That's why it's so important that we stop the fantasy. It's cool to enjoy a show. You know, back in the day, people enjoyed shows like Dallas, Knots Landing, all this other stuff. Dynasty, where you see all these rich people, while the country itself back in the 80s was in a bit of a recession. But it's only when you come out of that lie, it's only when you come and you start working and building on something and reaching out and networking, that you can see an increase in your boundaries and an increase in your physical standard of living. It doesn't pay us no good to sit here and talk about these issues and not actively have a plan to address some of them. Some of it has to come to light, and then we can understand why our political aspirations been awry. It's been hijacked. It was hijacked. And so therefore, the only logical conclusion from any of its actions would be counter to what you want to happen. All of our black leaders are dead. This is why I keep on telling you, look at the person in the mirror. Look at that person. That's your leader, man. We need leaders. We don't need people who follow just one guy or one woman, because a lot of times that guy or woman's the base, and they're saying something sweet to your ear, but really in the end analysis, it's not going to help you. Only you know what's right for you, and only leader of self can come together with other leaders to form something that's real and strong, form what we would commonly call a society, a village, a nation, an empire. Because Caesar wouldn't be shit if he didn't have citizens of Rome. Alexander the Great wouldn't have been nothing if the men from Macedonia wasn't about something. Even the Pharaoh would be totally impotent if he did not have citizens of Egypt. You have to decide now, do you want to be a citizen and work towards more rights, more liberation, or do you want to just merely be a victim, waiting for the bullet to hit you, the needle to get you, or some cop to split you because you're acting foolish, or he's having a bad day, either or. But it's up to us to change the way we think. And these movies ain't going to help us, brothers and sisters. Books, yes, to a certain degree. But it's ultimately have to be you. And once we change the way we think, then, friends, we can truly change this world. You got anything you want to add to that, Judge? And he is gone. Yet again, the NRA has struck, but he was only supposed to be for a few minutes. I know the judge is totally busy. All right, I'm so thankful to the Most High. Thankful, and thankful to Judge. Thankful to you viewers, the listeners. This has been TPIM live from our Missouri studios. TPIM SR Live. Today's date, September 25th, 2019, the year of our Lord. We are going to stay at this thing until we see the results that we need to see. So I ask you to live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. As always, brothers and sisters, let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace, power, unity, and victory. Liberation. I'm out.